I hope if there's one thing good that comes out of this pandemic is that we don't forget about the threat of global pandemics. So, uh, if you think back 30 years, these pandemic type events were fewer and further between. But if you just think back in the last 10 to 15 years, we had SARS, we had swine flu, we had Zika, we had Ebola, uh, and now we have SARS-CoV-2. So these are coming on almost the heels of one another's, right? So um, the key here now is to be prepared, right? Have surveillance, have diagnostics at the ready. Instead of starting from scratch, have these in place. Pre-position antiviral therapies, right? There's a class of antiviral therapies called broad spectrum therapies, just like you have for bacteria, but they have not been developed because there didn't seem that there was going to be an overt need for them. Can we pre-position vaccines? So, for example, people had been working on a vaccine for the original SARS in 2002, 2003, although the funding on that dried up. Now, you can argue that, boy, if we had finished that program, a vaccine for the current SARS could be just as easy as swapping out something like we do for flu and get a new vaccine every year. So there are viruses that we know are classified as having high pandemic potential. We know what they are. This coronavirus, uh, uh, virologists knew that these were viruses with high pandemic potential. We should have been pre-positioning vaccines and antivirals ahead of time. Now, it's always hard to try to anticipate things, but I would argue that look, a $40 million investment back in 2008 on a SARS-1 vaccine now seems like a fantastic bargain
Right.
compared to the impact that is having. So yes, this may never happen, but there is a finite possibility that it can. And at this point, I hope that if anything good comes out of it, this serves as a clarion call for the world to be ready for these pandemics, not reactive to them like we have now, but be proactive, pre-position resources, pre-position surveillance, share information, have networks of scientists and clinicians at the ready and ready to spring into action when the next virus jumps species and looks like it may go global.